Michio Kaga initiates playing an inexpensive online game, assuming it to be a virtual reality experience. In the game, the village he is in gets attacked by bandits, and he defends it by defeating several of them using his sword, Durandal. For his heroic act, the village chief, Samara, rewards him with the equipment of the defeated bandits. However, when Kaga tries to log out, he realizes that the game world is authentic, and he needs to complete the game to leave. To protect his captured loot from being stolen, Kaga sentences a villager to slavery. He then travels to Vale, a nearby city, to sell the loot and collect the bandits' bounty. While there, he visits Alan, a slave trader, who informs him about a new labyrinth that has been discovered. Intrigued by the labyrinth, Alan suggests purchasing a slave named Roxanne, who is a beast woman and useful in combat. He also mentions that she is a guaranteed virgin if Kaga wishes to use her as a Peck's slave. Despite feeling guilty about considering it, Kaga is tempted by the idea of having a willing Peck's slave. He agrees to return in 5 days, with almost 450,000 gold to purchase Roxanne. Kaga, an elderly man accompanied by 5 female slaves, pays a visit to the village where he first awoke. He gifts a sword, the Scimitar of Rage, to a young boy named Mio, revealing that he knew the boy's father. Fast forward to the present, Kaga has sold his previous loot but still needs to gather an additional 70,000 units of currency. To expedite the process, he decides to enter the labyrinth to procure valuable items. However, he fears that his prized sword, Durendal, may attract thieves, so he conceals it within his character menu and obtains a basic scimitar. As he delves deeper into the labyrinth and defeats monsters, Kaga discovers that using magic causes a decrease in his mental health. Thus, he vows to refrain from spellcasting until he can increase his magic capacity. Despite earning only a small amount of currency on his first day of exploration, Kaga is determined to obtain more valuable loot by confronting more dangerous foes. While navigating the labyrinth, Kaga unintentionally falls into a monster nest, where he nearly perishes were it not for the protective enchantments of Durendal. After vanquishing the creatures, Kaga learns of a bounty on the heads of the bandits he previously defeated and decides to hunt them down. Kaga suspected that the bandits would prefer to remain hidden, so he visited the slums to gather information. He discovered that the city turned into a red light district after dark. Despite the distractions, Kaga managed to locate a bandit and track him to their hideout. Since there were multiple bandit groups, Kaga carefully observed their behavior to learn more about their habits. Later, Kaga's landlord informed him that the bandits had started eliminating each other after a powerful boss was murdered in a struggle to take control of his territory. The bandits that Kaga had previously eliminated belonged to a weaker gang that had been expelled from Vale by the other groups. With only a day left to buy Roxana, Kaga took action. He infiltrated the bandit headquarters and silently eliminated several members in their sleep. However, he was forced to teleport into the labyrinth when the other bandits became aware of his presence. Kaga successfully exchanged the bandits for a bounty and finally obtained enough money to purchase Roxanne from Alan. Roxanne surprised Kaga by apologizing for doubting his ability to buy her. With the slave contract in effect, Roxanne was content to have an owner, and Kaga could finally relax after achieving his goal of purchasing her. Having extra money, Kaga upgraded their room to a larger one. He noticed that Roxanne appeared nervous and realized that he had accidentally booked a room with a double bed instead of 2 single beds. He was concerned that Roxanne might be uncomfortable sharing a bed with him. Kaga explained that he wanted her to accompany him as a fighter in the labyrinth and reassured her that he did not have any ulterior motives. They went to purchase Roxanne's equipment, including underwear, and returned to their room. Roxanne showed great skill in repairing and maintaining their gear, but they both grew increasingly anxious as night approached. Kaga struggled with his desire for Roxanne and felt guilty about it. Despite the awkwardness, they bathed each other, including Roxanne's tail, and shampooed each other's hair. Eventually, they went to bed together and, making sure that Roxanne was enjoying herself as much as he was, they had pexed. The next day, Roxanne kissed Kaga, but he suspected that she did so only because he had asked her to before they fell asleep. Nevertheless, Kaga decided to embark on their first journey into the labyrinth. Kaga inquired Roxanne on how to add skills to his equipment. She explained that he needed to obtain a rare monster skill crystal and have it bonded to his equipment by a blacksmith. However, only dwarves possessed the blacksmithing ability, and they were often untrustworthy. Kaga decided to search for a reliable dwarf and recruit them as a party member. In the labyrinth, Kaga discovered that magic crystals could be filled with monster magic and sold for a substantial amount of money. However, the process of filling them could take several months. He bought 2 empty crystals, and learned that they could hold magic from up to 1 million monsters, but most people sold them after reaching 100,000. Kaga also discovered that labyrinths were alive and grew upwards, with the first floor being the lowest and the strongest monsters on the top floors. He decided that he needed spells that could target multiple enemies and also require healing spells. Both Kaga and Roxanne earned the title of monk after defeating a monster with their bare hands. At night, they continued their ritual of bathing each other before making love. The next day, they located the first floor boss monster's room and ventured inside to defeat it. After vanquishing the boss of the tree variety, Roxanne discovers a medicinal leaf that it dropped and earns the title of herbalist. This victory grants them access to floor 2, but Kaga also covets the title of herbalist. Therefore, they return to floor 1 to face the boss once more. With the title now in hand, Kaga utilizes the leaf's healing properties to create potent health potions. Upon returning to the city, Kaga observes a suspicious bandit keeping watch over Alan's trading house and alerts him to the danger. Alan reveals that the thief whom Kaga had sold to him was recently sold to a group of menacing individuals. Suspecting that the thief may have been a member of the gang all along, Alan believes that he was instructed to wait until everyone was asleep before unlocking the door to allow the bandits entry. As Roxanne holds fond memories of Alan's other servants, Kaga requests to be hired as a bodyguard. Following a restful evening, Roxanne and Kaga join forces with Alan's combat slaves to launch a surprise attack on the bandits who are still inside the trading house. The bandits were caught in an ambush, and Kaga spotted a thief whom he tried to apprehend using experimental magic. He cast the spell Equivalent Exchange, which brought the thief's HP down to 0. Alan assumed the thief had a self-destruct orb, causing an explosion. For protecting his shop, Kaga was rewarded by Alan. However, Kaga's magic was almost depleted, so he decided to venture into the labyrinth to extract magic from monsters. He found that using Equivalent Exchange unlocked the mage title, and he planned to buy a staff when he could. But fate had other plans, and Kaga stumbled upon the boss room on the 2nd floor and defeated a giant caterpillar with Roxanne's help. They proceeded to the 3rd floor, where they encountered new monsters known as kobolds. Upon returning to the surface, Kaga hired a mage to teleport him to Imperial City and then to Curator. His plan was to establish a free teleportation route for him and Roxanne in the future, and Kaga decided to buy a house so that Roxanne would no longer have to live in taverns. While in Curator, they discovered that adventurers had to pay a fee to enter the labyrinth. However, Roxanne pointed out that they could sneakily teleport inside for free, and Kaga became determined to take advantage of this loophole. Kaga ventured into Curator and purchased a wand, after which he began searching for a new home to rent. After careful consideration, he decided to settle in a smaller rural village on the outskirts of Curator. With Roxanne's help, they were able to locate and rent a spacious house that was reasonably close to the labyrinth and featured a flushing toilet. They even received a discount on the rent due to the neglected garden and a strange stone room that was built without permission by the previous tenant. Kaga and Roxanne then entered the Veil Labyrinth, where Kaga used his wand to defeat a monster. Since their new home was devoid of furniture until the next day, they spent their last night in the first room they rented together. Roxanne took charge of preparing the house, while Kaga visited Curator's Labyrinth. However, Kaga was disappointed to find that, compared to Veil's Labyrinth, Curator's was overcrowded by knights, adventurers, and explorers, which meant that competition for monsters and loot would be more intense. Furthermore, since he couldn't teleport inside the labyrinth without having previously visited it, he had to pay the fee to enter and immediately teleport back home. After their furniture was delivered, Kaga and Roxanne spent their first night together in their new home, which was an exciting and heartwarming experience. Kaga discovered that despite the overcrowding, no one had ever managed to conquer the entire Curator Labyrinth, with the highest floor ever reached being the 91st. However, Kaga was disappointed with the weakness of the first boss monster and decided to teleport home with Roxanne. In an effort to lift his spirits, they decided to begin cultivating the neglected garden. While shopping for a clothes washing tub, Kaga had an epiphany. An extra-large tub could serve as an indoor bath in the stone room, which he hoped to share with Roxanne. As they continued to reach higher floors, they were able to teleport to those floors without starting from the bottom. However, the difficulty of the boss monsters increased until they encountered one that was actually able to injure them with a unique magic skill. Kaga realized he had become complacent, which put him and Roxanne at risk. The bathtub was eventually delivered, and Kaga was able to introduce Roxanne to the joys of bathing. Their intimate moment was further heightened by Kaga's invention of soap. As Roxanne slept, Kaga felt guilty for letting her get injured by the last boss monster and decided that they needed another warrior in their party as soon as possible. Kaga discovers that clothing stores are willing to pay for monster rabbit skins and decides to hunt them. On the 7th floor, they encounter a rabid rabbit that drops quality meat as loot, which Roxanne uses to prepare a delicious meal. Excited by the loot, they plan to defeat the rabid rabbit again but come across another adventurer who has been preparing to fight it for years. Unfortunately, the rabid rabbit ends up killing the adventurer, leaving Kaga deeply affected by the realization that death is a common occurrence in labyrinths. Roxanne comforts him through the night, and they sell their rabbit skins to buy silk camisoles for her. While on the 7th floor, Kaga's finger is broken by a bull monster. Although he recovers quickly with magic, he is still troubled by the increasing danger of the labyrinth. While taking a bath, he introduces Roxanne to Oral Pext. The next day, Roxanne discovers a skill stone dropped by a monster, which they can use to add magical skills to their equipment. Kaga made the decision to draft his final will and testament, stipulating that Roxanne should be freed upon his death. However, Roxanne refused the offer, as she believed that his passing would signify her own failure and wished to perish with him. To find a new slave, Kaga visited Alan and expressed his desire to acquire a dwarf slave who was a master smith. Unfortunately, Alan only had one dwarf slave, a 16-year-old named Sherry, who was not a master smith and was unsuited for combat. Sherry revealed that she possessed Explorer level 10, which was the prerequisite for the master smith job, but had never been granted the position. Despite this setback, Sherry earnestly asked Kaga to purchase her. Upon inspection, Roxanne noticed that Sherry had small ears, which indicated that she was much older than her stated age. Alan insisted that it was a congenital defect, and Sherry was indeed 16 years old, but he was willing to lower the asking price. Kaga received Roxanne's approval before purchasing Sherry, though he couldn't discern if she was envious or not. Kaga made the decision to have Sherry experiment with acquiring multiple skills in the hopes of unlocking her master smith job, beginning with providing her with a hammer as her weapon. Sherry was astounded to discover that Kaga possessed magical abilities, including his warp spell, and treated slaves as equals rather than property. Sherry chose a wooden club as her weapon, which caught Kaga's attention due to its skill slot. He was surprised that no one else seemed to notice the skill slot. During dinner, Kaga almost served Sherry first, but Roxanne gave him a death glare, prompting him to quickly serve her first. Kaga was shocked to learn that the only job specific to humans was Pext Maniac, whereas Master Smith was exclusive to dwarves. Later, Roxanne taught Sherry how to clean Kaga's body using their BTs while they were bathing. Kaga made another mistake at bedtime by kissing Sherry before Roxanne, but he quickly corrected himself by justifying why he kissed Roxanne second, which she accepted. Kaga learned his lesson and had pexed with Roxanne first while Sherry watched. He made sure that Sherry was comfortable as he took her VG, with Roxanne's help. The next morning, Kaga unlocked the Pext Maniac job, and he was pleased with how much it increased his stamina, intelligence, and magic. With his new job in mind, Kaga decided to form a H group and acquired 3 more slaves, Miria the Catkin, Vesta the Dragonkin, and Rutina the Elf, after a time skip.